Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in this world. God bless you. This is Gloria White coming to you from Utah, USA. Today we're continuing in the book of Ezekiel in the Old Testament in the King James Version of the Holy Bible, and we are in chapter 5. Again, the Lord's fury. He is furious with these people because they have turned away from him, because they've practiced injustice in their land. And here he's saying, "And thou, son of man, take thee a sharp knife." Now poor Ezekiel, he has him do a number of things, and here he's going to have him shave the hair off of his head and his face, his beard. Okay, now this sharp knife is actually a sword. So he says, "And thou, son of man, take thee a sharp sword, take thee a barber's razor," or take it as a barber's razor, "and cause it to pass upon thine head and upon thy beard. Then take thee balances to weigh and divide the hair. Thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city, when the days of the siege are fulfilled. And thou shalt take a third part and smite it about with the sword. And a third part thou shalt scatter in the wind, and I will draw out a sword after them. Thou shalt also take thereof just a few hairs, and bind them in the skirts, or in your garments. Then take of them again another little bit, and cast them into the midst of the fire, and burn them in the fire, for thereof shall a fire come forth into all the house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord God, This is Jerusalem, I have set it in the midst of the nations and countries round about her. And she hath changed my judgments, or rebelled against my judgments, into wickedness, or by doing wickedness, more than the nations, and my statutes more than the countries that are round about her. For they have refused my judgments and my statutes. They have not walked in them. They're worse than the people, the nations that are godless that are around them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, because ye multiplied your disobedience more than the nations that are round about you, and have walked not in my statutes, neither have kept my judgments, neither have done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you. Therefore thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I, even I, am against thee, and will execute judgments in the midst of thee, in the sight of the nations. And I will do in thee that which I have not done, and whereunto I will not do any more the like, because of all thy abominations. Therefore the fathers shall eat the sons in the midst of thee, and the sons shall eat their fathers, and I will execute judgments in thee, and the whole remnant of thee will I scatter into all the winds. Whereof, as I live, saith the Lord God, surely, because thou hast defiled my sanctuary with thy detestable things, and with all thine abominations, therefore will I also diminish thee, neither shall mine eyes spare, neither will I have any pity. A third part of thee shall die with the pestilence, and with famine. They shall be consumed in the midst of thee, and a third part shall fall by the sword round about thee. And I will scatter a third part into the winds, and I will draw out a sword after them. Thus shall my anger be accomplished, or spent, and I will cause my fury to rest upon them, and I will be comforted, or avenged. And they shall know that I, the Lord, have spoken it in my zeal, when I have accomplished or avenged my fury in them. Moreover, I will make thee a waste, or a ruin, and a reproach among the nations that are round about thee, in the sight of all that pass by. So shall it be a reproach, and a taunt, an instruction, a lesson and an astonishment unto the nations that are round about thee, when I shall execute judgments in thee, in anger and in fury and in furious rebukes. I, the Lord, have spoken it. When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, or the terrible arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you. And I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff, or your supply of bread. So will I send upon you famine, and evil beast, wild beast, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee. I, the Lord, have spoken it. He's not going to turn back. Remember in Jeremiah, the wild beast? He's going to use the wild beast to consume the people. Well, and I was saying in Revelation, well, I've looked it up. It's in Revelation 6 when the Antichrist comes and is having his day. It's in chapter 6, verse 8 in the book of Revelation. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them, over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast, or the wild beast of the earth. Sounds like the same thing that's going on in Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel. Sounds like the same exact thing, except what's going to happen in the book of Revelation is going to be much worse. Way worse. As told in Daniel. Hold on. Because if we look here in Daniel, in chapter 12, verse 1, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was, since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. This here is telling us that you have to realize the books of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel, they're prophecy. They're prophetic books. Mean they go into what's happening at that time, and also they're written concerning the future. The end times. So we're in the end times. And this here, when it says Michael, that's the archangel that stands for the people of God. And when he stands up, this says, Michael, stand up, which means steps aside. When he steps aside, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time, in the end. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Well, what kind of book would that be? Well, it might just be the book of life. The book of life of the Lamb. Oh, hey, hang in there, guys. Hang in there. And as always, I love you.